rapidly. Question number 9, Eugenie Sage.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Primary Industries and asks, how does increasing the amount of irrigated land by 400,000 hectares in the next 15 years, as the Ministry for Primary Industries is considering, fit with the Ministry's goal of sustainable resource use when irrigation and agricultural intensification cause declining water quality?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Mr Speaker, because any discharge from agriculture production must be consented by a regional council within the framework of the National Freshwater Management that was established by this government. Ultimately, MPI and the government believe that growing the economy and protecting the environment are not mutually exclusive. Not only does water storage offer farmers and growers and some towns a reliable source of water, it also has environmental benefits such as more consistent river flows in the summer and reduced pressure on groundwater sources.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
When he said yesterday that irrigation storage is good for the environment, does he believe that the toxic algal mats in the Opihi River downstream of the Opua Dam and in other Canterbury rivers are good environmental outcomes?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
What I did say yesterday in the House last night is that we don't collect and store enough water. We only store about 2% of the water that falls in this country. In particular, the example that the member is referring to, the Opua scheme, what she may not realise is about 18 months ago, when that area was in a very prolonged drought, actually Fish and Game were out there rescuing fish from nearby rivers, releasing them in the Opihi River that is fed by this significant water storage project.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
What is the Minister's strategy for dealing with more frequent droughts expected in future when irrigation storage reservoirs such as the Opua Dam are already running dry?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Well, Mr Speaker, what a stupid question that is.
Order. Order. The member will stand and withdraw that remark. The Minister will, and then he'll start the answer correctly.
I stand and withdraw that remark, Mr
Now,
Speaker.
can you have the answer?
Mr Speaker, well, I'm unsure if the member has recently read the Environment Canterbury Deputy Chair's comments, David Cagle. He had a very interesting op-ed in the local paper down there last week. And I think it's worthwhile mentioning it because what Mr Cagle said was irrigation is part of our overall strategy. It builds resilience to droughts and to climate change. It is even gradually improving soil quality. It's relieving pressure on groundwater. For example, the Selwyn Waihora catchment. I thought you actually couldn't put it better than Mr Cagle has put it.
Very well done.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Doesn't the fact that the Sustainable Farming Fund has a budget of only $8.3 million this year, compared to the hundreds of millions of government funding available to irrigators, show that his government's priorities are to promote more irrigation and more water use rather than encouraging sustainable farming?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Mr Speaker, we encourage both. MPI's view and my view is that we want to grow and we want to protect. Actually, we're investing in research and development so that our farmers and growers have the tools to address some of the environmental factors that they are having to address. So actually, on one hand, the member's saying we shouldn't be investing in R&D, and on the other hand, we shouldn't have any irrigation. Actually, in my view, we can have irrigation and grow the economy and our exports and jobs in the regions, and we can do more in the environmental space as well. That's why we're investing in R&D projects.
Question number 10.